Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, July 8th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, guys. Well, I was running a bit late this morning, and so I literally just moments ago opened up my chart to my shock and dismay to see that the overnight market has begun the process of repairing all this weakness below us. They had a massive liquidation in the overnight market. So it's going to be a bit tricky to take trades, here in the morning because it's hard to know how this market will react to it, right? The momentum buyers have been in control. A lot of people have gone long this market, assuming that we were going to break out yesterday because we made those new all-time highs, okay? So there's going to be a lot of inventory that, like me, will open up their charts this morning, find that they're way down, and have to make a decision about how to play those long positions that they're holding. My guess is further liquidation, right? Fear and panic will set in, and the market will continue to sell off this morning. Okay, that is the first assumption. The other way of looking at it is longer-term traders, right? They might see this as an excellent discount. If this was the fairest price to do business over the last few days, perhaps those bigger, stronger hands investors see this as an opportunity to buy the market at discount. Okay, so we got to be cautious early this morning while the market figures out how to absorb this move down. That being said, obviously inventory 100% net short, so any kind of counter auction would be to the upside. We are opening with a massive gap down. Very large gaps often don't fill the first day. So gap rules are in play. Essentially, the market should try to fill this gap back up to yesterday's low. If they fail to, if they find resistance anywhere inside this range, then that is a short for continuation to the downside. Okay, that is a gap and go scenario. If the market is able to trade its way all the way back up to yesterday's low and it finds resistance there, that is also a gap and go. So you go short with that as well. And only if the market is able to get its way back up into yesterday's range and find support there, is that, the gap fails or whatever. It's the opposite. It's a failure in that direction. Okay. And so then you'd be looking to go long. Boy, yeah, it's tricky this morning. I don't have much to report until the market opens. So it opens in 1 minute, and let's see what happens there. I'm just going to start, because we're going to open below all these weak references, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of them because they are repaired once the regular trading hours market is open beneath them. I'll leave that deal or no deal level that I created yesterday as potential resistance on the way up. Okay, the market is open. Obviously, internals opening extremely bullish. Bearish. Bullish. Extremely bearish. Donkey, on a day like today, you could skip the ad, brother. Okay, so we're getting that counter auction to the upside. That's going to be people who went short in the overnight taking their profits here at the open. Expect a lot of very fast tempo and volatility here. Again, there's going to be a lot of people like me who wake up shocked to find the market's pulled back this much. They will be acting with emotion. I don't really even know that it was the jobs report. It may have just been, the market being weak, the market being built on such weak structure. Once it got down to this low, that was sort of the last stand that it had to keep that momentum. They knew the momentum was over, and from that point on, they went short. That being said, if anybody knows of any news thing, please let me know. So again, if you're long here for the counter auction and the attempt to fill the gap, keep in mind anywhere inside this gap we can find resistance and then start pushing down. Okay? So if you want to trade the gap fill, be very cautious. All right, well, there you go from Malcolm. If Jonathan from Australia was here right now, he'd say the Illuminati said sell the market. One of those moments where all the news comes out bearish out of nowhere all at once. Of course, I don't actually believe that. I'm being silly. To answer the question, do we still have weakness below? Yes, we still have a lot of weakness below. Lots of targets to the downside that still need repair, including a gap and multiple poor lows. But like I said, there is a chance that the market sees this as a discount, a dip to buy. You know what I mean? So let's let them work it out. The real story will be the gap, right? You guys can see this red line that comes down here. That's yesterday's low right there. So that's how far we'd have to push up. We have to push up to 43.20 to fill that gap. Any failure to do that this morning, if we cannot get up there and fill that gap, is shortable for continuation to the downside. Okay? Right now, they are failing to fill that gap. Right now, it looks like a gap and go to the downside. RK, brother. First person to use a sticker. I appreciate you. I wondered how it worked and what it looked like, and now we know. The make or break level I put there yesterday, that was for support on the downside. As the market was selling off, I was looking at these 3 nodes of volume as potential support. And this is the very bottom of that bottom node. So in my mind, if the market wasn't able to hold up there yesterday, we were going to have further downside continuation. And I'm leaving that there now as a reminder on the way back up of potential resistance in this node. Okay. Whew, the volatility. The computers and the short-term traders are just picking each other's pockets this morning. Very, very quickly. Yeah, okay, that's how I felt when I looked over at my computer and saw how much the market had sold overnight. I was like angry at the overnight traders. I was like, you took away my opportunity. I missed the short. But then I was like, oh no, just wait till the market figures out where it's going. We'll have a measured move that's just as big in either direction. All right, so it looks like a gap and go. The market is pushing lower, looking for support. So obviously, as always, with old weak references, as soon as they're repaired, that could bring in the buyers. So these 3 week references getting repaired could bring in the buyers. Overnight low could bring in the buyers. If neither of those do, look for it to take out this poor low, and so on and so forth as it works its way down. Okay, so the next target is the overnight low. If we bring in support below that level, that would be good. If not, we need to come repair this poor low down here. And then if that doesn't find support, so on and so forth. Gianfranco, no. 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 Bro, $100 from the murder bot? Oh, thank you, dude. Man, I appreciate you. That is awesome. I don't even have the enthusiasm and energy to say thank you right now. I haven't had any coffee yet, bro. Oh, wow. Thank you, dude. Oh, is it a crypto? What's ARS? You know what? I appreciate the 10 cents. Wait, what is this? What is ARS? What's happening? Miles, thank you, brother. My pleasure, my man. Oh, it's the peso. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for the 100 pesos. That's all good. I didn't know it did that. So it does it in whatever currency you guys pay in. Interesting. All right, guys. Well, this little note of volume that we're building right here. This is the first sign of support in the market, the first buyer stepping in, but they aren't above that zero line yet on the ticks. Partha, you don't have to apologize for a joke. It's all good. Okay, so now normally I would say the opening price, if we push back through that opening price, that would be bullish. But now I'm going to call it this node just above that at around 42.96. If we can push back above that, that would be bullish that they're making another attempt at filling the gap. Ticks right up against that zero line, trying to push through. If they cannot, expect another push lower. Um, where's the gap? To fill the gap, you got to get to yesterday's low, which is at 43.20.25, right there. All right, so they just pushed through this. So this is bullish here. This takes me back to a neutral stance and makes me believe they're going to try to fill that gap once again. Or did I call it just a second too soon before it got above the node? Okay, may have called it just a second too soon. Didn't get above that node and bounced off that zero line. So let's see if they can break through on the next push. No, yesterday's high on the ES is a good high, I think. Yep, the high is good. We had a little weak reference in the M period, but that's fine. 1 week reference is no big deal. All right, so there's the push almost through. Come on. There you go. And we're getting above that zero line, so they're going to try to fill that gap. As I mentioned, they can find resistance literally anywhere inside this gap, but the next major resistance I see is the POC from 7.6 and the halfback from overnight, right up here at 43.15. All right, so now as we're printing the B period here, I'm watching to see if this node of volume just below us, which has been acting as resistance, can now become support, right? Does the market pull down into here and then it finds support in this? That would be bullish for a continuation higher. If not, look for more chop. John, I don't know that I'd call it the same. I mean, the tempo here today is breathtaking. You know, the speed with which the market is grinding up and down. That is what has given me some insights here. That a lot of the decisions being made in this market this morning are being made out of panic and fear. Often, panic and fear leads to selling. So, if the market can slow its tempo down and start using, support and resistance. So, for example, there should be support in this node of volume. If the market can slow down, spend some time grinding around here, that would be a sign that the stronger hands players are starting to step in. But as long as it's jumping up and down like this super fast, it's still just short-term traders freaking out of their positions, making guesses in and out, up and down. And so that is not as trustworthy in terms of buying. Weak hands. Oh, yeah, they bring in the volume this morning? Oh, no, Element. Don't kick yourself at all. At the close of yesterday, there was a perfectly legitimate argument to be made for further upside continuation. I mean, look at this. You had a massive pullback yesterday. 2 days in a row, you had a massive pullback. Okay? Both of these were the opportunity for the market to sell off like it did last night. And it didn't. 2 days in a row, in the regular trading hours, it had a chance to sell off, and it didn't. So when you have two V-shaped recoveries, you make new all-time highs, and you end the day up here at the highest part, like above the balancing area you had been stuck in, that's all very bullish. This market could have perfectly continued to go up, no problem. So it also could have perfectly crashed at any moment, no problem, because of all the weakness below. But the point is, there was no reason to particularly go short yesterday. However, there might be this morning if we can't fill this gap. That's a good question. How long is the actual amount of time that we need to fill the gap? I don't know. It's just like it's a market sentiment thing, right? the people that are going long right now, they're looking at that gap fill, right? They're sitting at their trading desk and they're asking themselves, is the market going to keep selling off or not? Probably the reason that they think it's going to go up is to fill that gap at the very least, right? And so if you're going long, say you went long in the A period, say you're going long right now, and your reason for going long is that this gap is going to fill. Well, how long do you stay in your trade before you give up on that? Right? It's impossible to give a specific amount of time. It really just depends what the market does. If the market looks bullish, if we start one time framing higher here in the B period, if volume starts to step in, if dips are bought up and the market keeps pushing and pushing and pushing higher, those people may be willing to sit in their trade all day waiting for that gap fill. But if it keeps trying to push higher and it keeps hitting resistance, more and more of them are going to just give up on that idea. And the more of them that give up, the more of them that close out those long trades, the more the market starts to pull back, right? And then more, other traders start to go short because they're thinking, they can't get that gap. So they start to go short and it piles on. So it's not a matter of time in terms of like a clock. It's a matter of human psychology. At what point do the participants who are looking for a gap fill give up on that idea? Dave, you see gaps going back to March 2000. Yeah, I mean, there's always a few gaps that get left behind. There was like 2 or 3 that got left behind with the COVID V-shaped recovery. But you're talking about 2 or 3 out of dozens and dozens and dozens that were formed. So, yeah, it's still a very high probability thing. Arthur, short this market? Question mark. My friend, that is up to you. I don't see a short or a long here. I don't know what the market's going to do yet. So for me, this is a sit on your hands and wait. If you're a scalper, keep trading the volatility. It's going to keep grinding up and down until a decision is made. But I don't know right now which direction they're going to go. Shubha Deep, yeah, it's a great point. It's like a when what should happen doesn't, right? If a gap should fill and it doesn't, it shows you the strength of the participants in that direction. Only 17 likes. Guys, let's smash that like button. I totally understand it. You guys are focused on your trades this morning. Me too. But push the thumbs up. Let's make us some magic together. Yep, buyers are taking a stab at it here. Although it's probably also a lot of the shorts exiting, right? The shorts that build up overnight. I think some of this is them covering. We really got to get the ticks above the 0 line to know the buyers are stepping in, like new buyers. The Olympics is going to ban speculators. Wow. That's going to totally change the vibe. Can you imagine being like a runner or something, like a sprinter who has to just like, you got the biggest race of your life and it's just like you and a few cameramen in a giant, uh, you know, arena? Yikes. Naif adding to his long in the queue. Let's take a look at the queue. Okay, looks very similar to the ES. They barely got below their overnight low. So that's a sign that the buyers stepped in at that price level. You are one time framing higher. So there's your bullish signal right there. So now you're looking on the pullback. Do these nodes start to act as support? What was resistance on the way up, is it now support on the pullback down? That would be bullish. And you got your ticks above the zero line. The last two ticks have closed above the zero line. So it's definitely fair to say the NQ is a little stronger this morning than the ES. I'm talking about for the athletes, Donkey, right? Like being in a giant stadium with people screaming is a very different atmosphere than being all alone with a cameraman. Shubaho Deep wants to go to 43.34 without breaking a sweat. Oh boy. 34. I mean, at that point, if you get up into yesterday's range, I mean, you might as well look to target the opposite end of the range. As an enormous look below and fail. Okay. So every time we push above this node and it does not act as support, I get a little bit more bearish on this market. I really need to see them get above the zero line and stay above it. All right. Well, it looks like the support over here is not going to hold. So if the market pushes down below the A period, we are now one time framing lower. Okay. And I would consider that a potent. This would not be a day where I ignore the first hour's one time framing because we already spent so much time rotating. So because of the amount, the range that we had here today, I will trust if we start one time framing lower, that is the beginning of a trend lower. Okay. I think a lot of the buying that was happening in here was just short covering from the overnight. And that's why the ticks stayed below that zero line the whole time. And so if we ran out of buyers because all the people who went short that were going to take profits did, there's only sellers left. And where do they take price? Lower. So now the market is in search of a new area for two-sided trade to take place. Could happen at the overnight low, could happen at the poor low, so on and so forth. So let's monitor for continuation to the downside. I was going to say bearish, but or one-time framing lower, but also going to the private stream in 8 minutes, so just get that notification up for the time being. Okay, a little poor low here. We often push away from a poor low first before we come back to take it out. If we immediately come back down and take it out, that is a sign of bearishness. Oh, Donkey, you made a donation. Sorry, brother. I must have missed it. I was making coffee. Gave me some ETH. $7 in ETH. And it will be, bro. Give it a year. It'll be worth 14. I promise. Thank you for that donation. Naif, a fair-weathered fan, turned on a dime. Of course, that's what you want to be as a trader. That's a good thing. Yeah, that NQ. Let's take a look at the Q. Okay, so again, still stronger than the ES. It's one time framing higher. But you got your last little node of support right here. So if that fails, you're looking at further downside continuation. I don't really have levels marked on here, but I'm sure you have a bunch of weak references just like in the ES. Actually, I take that back. There's a lot of support in here for the NQ. This was a good balancing range right here. So yeah, it could be some support in there. Okay, so value is lower, which is bearish. We've started one time framing lower, which is bearish, right? We tried to fill the gap and failed, which is bearish. So now I'm looking for resistance in the area that was just support before, which was this node of volume from the overnight. This is where we kind of kept trading down and finding support. So I'm looking for resistance in here, call it the half back. If we find it, going short for another push lower. Okay. The checkout page is down. Well, that's not good. What happens when you go to the checkout page? It freezes, or what's happening there? That's strange. Shoot me an email and let me know, and I'll try to work it out for you. Send it to ahoy@piratetraders.io. Okay, so now we're getting up into this node up in here. It's not really super specific, but anywhere between like half back and the opening price. This is where the market was finding support before. So let's see if it finds resistance in here now. Yeah, that's really strange, Rad. Shoot me an email. I'll work it out for you. Okay, well, no resistance so far. And look at that. They push the ticks right back up there, past the zero line. Dare I say it, we may be looking at a rotational market. Okay, so if the C period, man, this is a tricky day to trade, guys. I'm going to be totally honest with you. If the C period gets above the B period, you've got the cessation of one time framing, increasing the odds of rotation. But then you're also right up there at the high. So it's like once they see that, they start to try to target the gap fill. So it's very tricky to be able to tell what this market is doing here. I think there's just a lot of indecision. John, I don't understand your question. If the market goes rotational, does that usually make it to the news headlines? Oh, it's a joke. Oh no, I got it, John. I had to read it twice for it to sink in. That's on me, not you. Yeah, I love me some Jim Cramer, but I just saw the funniest meme yesterday. They took two headlines from CNBC. I forget what stock he was talking about, but it was like one day Kramer was talking about like you got to buy this stock. Why wouldn't people buy this stock? It's such a great deal. And then like it crashed, and then like a week later the headline was like why would any idiot buy this stock? And it was like him saying it about the same stock a week later, and it was like, "Oh no, busted." Well, we don't know it's rotational yet, right? The C period high stayed below the B period high. So if we push back down to the lows, okay, and we get below the B period low, it's just still continuation of that trend. It's just a trend with massive volatility. So we could still be one time framing lower here. Man, that tempo. Guys, that is just panic. These markets are freaking out. People don't know what to do. All right, guys. Well, with that, I must bid you farewell. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you guys for the sticker and for the donations to the chat. I truly appreciate that. And I'm heading on over to that private stream. If you're not a member, head over to piratetraders.io and join the Brigade. All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.